There's thousands of supplements out there at the moment, but 90% of them are hot garbage. So I'm gonna go through my exact stack as a lifter and a coach, go through what's worth your money and what the science really says about each one. No sponsorships, no affiliate codes, just real evidence and anecdotal experience with each supplement. You're going to learn what will actually help you in terms of foundational health, gym performance and sleep, and which ones I'd ditch if I had to go with a minimalist approach. A few things I'm going to cover is, does creatine actually help you build muscle, or do you just retain more water? Is melatonin helping you sleep or screwing with your long-term health? But first, just remember, I'm not a doctor. I'm just going to speak on my experience with these supplements. If you want to take advice from that, great, but make sure you go and do your own research and perhaps even seek help from a professional before you decide to take any of these supplements. We're going to kick it off with the Health Foundation stack. Boring, but the essential stuff. These aren't going to give you instant energy or results, but if you care about performance over the next 5, 10 to 20 years, they definitely matter. First of all, vitamin D. I live in the UK. Sunlight doesn't exist. So it makes a lot of sense for me to supplement with vitamin D to make sure I've got no deficiencies, considering the fact that I'm not going to be getting any from the lack of sunshine outside. I take vitamin D because if you are deficient in it, it can lead to immune function issues, poor bone health, poor muscle function, which for someone like me who literally lives in the gym, it makes a lot of sense for me to take that to avoid all of those side effects. There are large meta-analyses that show that supplementing with vitamin D can actually improve your bone health and maybe even lower disease risk. However, I wouldn't personally take any more than 4,000 IUs a day. Going over that, you're more susceptible to kidney issues. So just get your blood work done. Simple. Don't guess, get the work done. Now, in my actual diet, calcium is low. I don't eat a lot of dairy produce, so I decide to supplement with calcium citrate. This isn't a daily must, but if you are someone who doesn't get a lot of calcium in the diet, it can be a good idea to supplement with this to help improve bone density and perhaps slow bone loss. That said, if your diet already covers it, which most will, you don't need to supplement with this. It could actually cause more harm than good. Too much of anything is a bad thing, right? So don't treat it as a magic bone builder. Just take it when it's needed. Next up, omega-3s, which I take for 2 reasons: recovery and heart health. EPA and DHA are the 2 compounds that can contribute towards reducing that inflammatory response from hard training. Beyond training, omega-3s will help support brain health, lower triglycerides, and perhaps even reduce cardiovascular risk. And if you're someone like me who hates fish, it's definitely more important to supplement to make sure you are covering all your omega-3s, because that is obviously something that we see a lot of in salmon, for example. If you're eating salmon 2 to 3 times a week, you're probably going to be okay, but I'd still take these as just an insurance policy on days perhaps where you're not having them. Now, a few things I'll look out for when I'm sourcing an omega-3 supplement is, first of all, I'll look for a product that has an EPA and DHA amount when combined of over 1,500 milligram. I'll look for a tub that has a tinted outside. So you see the plastic here, it's tinted with brown. If that's clear, I won't buy it. These supplements are very susceptible to UV damage, and that will help to mitigate that. However, obviously, of course, I keep them in a cupboard. I don't leave them out on a windowsill. If you're doing that, you might be a retard. For me, this is a high upside, low risk supplement. I think everyone should be supplementing with it, especially those who don't eat fish. Now, let's get a bit more interesting and go into the focus and performance stack. So these are supplements that are going to benefit you pretty much instantly in the gym, can help with workloads, help you focus and really lock in. But of course, it's still built around evidence, not hype. And the first one we're going to get into, creatine monohydrate. Now, the internet's had a lot to say about creatine recently, about how all it does is pull water into muscles. It doesn't aid in hypertrophy or training performance. And my personal favorite, it changes internal moment arms.
Shut your fucking mouth!
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Now, first of all, I'm not going to sit here and say that creatine directly causes muscle growth. That would be silly, okay? Supplementing with this with 5 grams a day is not all of a sudden going to blow you up and have the effect of an exogenous hormone like an anabolic or testosterone, for example. But from everything I've seen and the research I've done into creatine, I 100% believe that although it doesn't directly cause muscle growth, it definitely creates a better environment for adaptation, being hypertrophy. It increases intramuscular creatine and phosphocreatine stores. And this is the exact system we'll use during those high effort and hard, heavy sets. So this could simply mean that we just get more reps at a given load, better rep quality, or just better performance that holds out during the entire session. And that's the entire point. No one's saying that creatine will directly cause muscle growth. What we are saying is that it can potentially improve your training output, which over a significant period of time could perhaps lead to more hypertrophy. And it is true that it will increase intracellular water inside the muscle. However, that does not mean that it's fake gains. Creatine does have an osmotic effect and more water will be stored intracellularly. And that is why you may see a quick jump up in the scales when you start supplementing with it. However, that is only one part of the process. And it definitely does not mean that it's only water and it can't support growth. And for people that say it doesn't add stimulating reps to your set, I think you slightly need to adjust your wording there, because all reps are stimulating, just some more than others. Yes, as we get closer to failure, bar path slows down, we're exerting maximum effort, we will start to, induce those high threshold motor units that are more susceptible to growth, but that does not mean that the reps at the start of our set were not stimulating. So overall, creatine is not magic. However, it will slightly improve your training performance, and even to the people that don't believe it will, it's still worth taking based on your argument of the fact that it will increase intracellular water, which will make your muscles look bigger. So there really is no downsides to taking it, no matter what side of the argument you're on. Take 5 grams a day, unless you have kidney issues, and you might have to tailor it back a bit.
How much creatine?
I've been doing a lot of creatine.
Next up, probably the most effective pre-workout and natural stimulant there is, caffeine. Now, I choose to use tablets and black coffee just because of dose control. I'll often find that with a lot of pre-workouts, they're either severely underdosed or severely overdosed in certain compounds that make no difference at all to your training. With tablets, I can dial in an exact dosage that I can easily standardize. I take around 4 milligram per kg of body weight, so that's around 300 milligram before my session, and I take that around 45 to 60 minutes beforehand. Boost performance, energy, focus, can even reduce pain tolerance. So there's plenty of upsides to taking caffeine before your session. However, don't take it too late in a day, as it can mess up your sleep. I definitely would not be supplementing with this past 11 a.m, 12 p.m. time. Next up, one that's a little more niche, Alpha-GPC. A little more subtle compared to caffeine, Alpha-GPC is just a choline donor, which will help with attention and muscle contraction. Now, I don't consider it a PR pill, but I definitely think it gives me that added mental clarity and sharpness. I don't just take it for the gym, I also take it when I've got heavy workloads or I'm studying, and I think it just gives me that little bit of a cognitive boost that I need to get through those hard tasks. There is some early data that shows that Alpha-GPC can perhaps improve force production. However, the results are mixed, so I just tend to take it for the added mental clarity. With training covered, time to get into the sleep stack. Now, sleep is something that's often neglected in this niche, and I don't really know why. Yes, training is more important when it comes to an overall sustained muscle growth period. However, that does not mean that sleep will not contribute to that, and improved sleep can actually improve your recovery and definitely lead to increased performance, which could lead to more gains. So here's what helps me fall asleep faster, sleep deeper, and recover better. First of all, real simple one, L-theanine. L-theanine will promote relaxation without a sedation effect that you could potentially get from other supplements. I take around 400 milligrams a day, which definitely helps improve my overall stress management. I feel my anxiety and just the overall feeling in general, I feel a lot calmer when I take this, and it definitely helps me get to sleep on those days where maybe they're a little bit stressful. Next up, one that you probably already know and should be taking, probably already do take, Magnesium Glycinate. I take around 400 milligrams of this before bed. I take glycinate because of its better absorption and it's a bit easier on the gut. This will promote GABA activity, help with muscle relaxation, and is great for improving deep sleep. Glycine, I'll take about 3 grams of that an hour before bed. Now, this will just help with faster sleep onset and a better quality of sleep. NAC, which will help to boost glutathione production, the body's greatest antioxidant. So this is not necessarily a sleep booster. However, it will improve immune support and support liver health. But I would not take this anywhere near your training because it can blunt training adaptations. Take this, hours after, and like I say, maybe like an hour before bedtime. Next up, L-Arginine, which is a nitric oxide precursor. Now, there are some links to growth hormone production, perhaps increasing that. However, the studies, the results are very weak, to be honest. However, for me, as a natural lifter, as an insurance policy, perhaps if there is a slight increase in growth hormone production through taking this, I'm going to take it, and I take around 25 pills anyway. What's one more going to do? Next up, 3 milligrams of melatonin. Conks me out. I take it around an hour before bed. I used to have chronic sleep deprivation, couldn't sleep no matter what. Tried nighttime routines, tried these supplements that I've already named on their own, and it just didn't work. I wasn't able to get to sleep. I just felt my mind was always racing. But I throw in melatonin about an hour before bed, completely knocks me out. I get 8 hours of sleep. But then again, it's a pharmaceutical supplement. I would definitely go and see a doctor before you consider taking this. And in the UK anyway, you need to get a prescription for it, which is something that I went and got. Get a prescription, be safe. But yeah, melatonin, pretty darn good. Now, if I could only take 5 of these, we're gonna go with the most essential. First of all, creatine monohydrate. Now, in terms of cost to benefit, creatine monohydrate, very cheap. Plenty of benefits, no real downsides to taking this. No matter what side of the argument you're on, whether it has an improvement on your training output or not, we still realize that it will suck water into the muscle and make you look bigger. So definitely take creatine. Second, I would take vitamin D, but get your blood's work done first. If you're deficient in this, I think this can be very, very important. If not, you're probably all right. If you live in a hot country and you get lots of sunlight, probably not going to need to take this, so there is some nuance there. But for me, living in the UK, no sunlight, vitamin D is a must-have. Third, I'd probably go caffeine. Just make sure that it's timed smartly around your training. Don't take it too late in the day or else you will not be able to get to sleep, I promise you. Now, this is the best natural stimulant. It's going to improve your performance and focus in the gym and away from it even. So I would definitely recommend getting some caffeine tabs or just taking a black coffee, for example, or even a pre-workout if you get the right one. Next up, magnesium glycinate, just for overall relaxation, better sleep, deeper sleep. I think it's great for that. I think this is basically a good baseline supplement for when you are starting to implement a sleep stack and trying to improve your sleep quality. So that is going to be number 4. Finally, omega-3s, not too expensive, quite cheap. I would definitely say they are essential, especially if you are someone like me who doesn't eat a lot of fish. So they're going to go in number 5. One thing I would say is these supplements should not replace good sleep, a good diet, good training. They are simply supplemental, okay? You add these around the foundations, which is a balanced diet, 8 hours of sleep, a good training program. These are just thrown in around that to give you that slight edge. If you've watched this far, you clearly are the type of person that wants to get that extra 1% and doesn't just hop on TikTok trends. So if you want help putting all this together properly alongside a sustainable diet plan and effective training program that's going to get you to your physique goals, then you can hit me up for one-to-one coaching. I'll drop the inquiry link in the description below. Dinner. Yum.